Hello, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. Welcome to 2016 CES. Hope everyone's had a great show so far, and we're delighted to have you here at Gary's Book Club. Opportunity again to speak with an incredible author. I've read the book, MegaMinds, Creativity and Invention, and I strongly suggest anyone here do the same. We'll have some opportunity to talk about why Larry wrote it, and how he wrote it, what he thinks the key takeaways should be. And I want to let him jump in, but usually I'm able to wing it, but his background is so impressive, I want to refer to my notes in introducing him. Larry is actually the third generation of a family that's produced no. So he, in many regards, is the perfect person to write a book about invention because he's done it and he's seen it. He's a Sloan School of Management graduate from MIT, has 3 patents, has founded 2 high-tech companies, and was the co-recipient of the IR 100 award cited by Research and Development magazine for developing one of the 100 most significant technical products of the year. His experiences range from complex defense systems analysis to tiny device development. Larry's also written 3 novels about artificial intelligence and 2 books about creativity, invention, and high-tech management. He's currently completing yet another book about digital media, describing its opportunities for advancement and impacts on humanity. There's a lot to talk about, and I'm very honored to be sitting next to this impressive man. So Larry, welcome. Thank you for writing this book.
Thank you very much, Sean.
And why don't we get right into it? Who is this book written for?
Well, I come from, my book is written for people of all ages who are designers, entrepreneurs, technical leaders. They could range from high school kids dreaming of starting a business to garage entrepreneurs to senior managers in large corporations.
And so that comes across, and I think anyone that's here at the show can appreciate there's some aspect of invention in anything that's going on that makes it to this stage. Why did you write the book?
Well, I come from a family of inventors and technical entrepreneurs, Sean. I wanted to know how to create, invent, and build a company, starting with what I learned from family ventures, combined with my own experience in building companies around inventions, as well as working in large team research organizations. I thought I would like to share with you people what I've learned. You know, as a kid, I loved to fish. I figured out how to make a better fishing lure. This was, I was only about 10 years old, which I made in my dad's machine shop. I sold them to everyone at the lake. It was my first product business. You start early, you begin to build some momentum, and you're off and running.
And you talk about that anecdote in the book and tie it together with your father's inventions and inventions you subsequently did.
Exactly. Phew, a lot of stuff in there. But anyway, I want to describe creativity and invention of tech and help you reach your product development goals. I hope there's a lot of inventors and would-be inventors out there. I want to help you succeed. I imagine everyone here, deep down, is harboring thoughts of a new product. From garage inventors to multinational corporations, we must make a fresh effort at creativity and innovation, notably using the vast new resources of the internet and the computer clouds. We need education, vision, imagination, and risk-taking in order to develop the big new products and services. In my book, MegaMinds, Creativity and Invention, first thing I did is I looked for the common attributes of the legendary greats, Leonardo da Vinci, Thomas Edison, Albert Einstein. They all had in common interest in early training in certain skills which either their father had or they had, and they were encouraged to develop these. Since my father was an inventor, he was always studying me to see where he could give me a push. So follow your passion that started back when you were a kid. Mine was electronics. We lived out on a farm in the country, and it was something for me to do other than looking at the cows. I became a radio ham at about the age of 11. So I was off and running in a life channel. The second thing I'd like to say, and this is most important, is projecting your mind, thinking out of the box. I like to think of it a little bit like yoga. You've got to focus, 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 concentrate, and bring your mind to where the invention is. An example I use is if you were going to invent a better piston ring for an automobile engine, put your head inside the piston where you can see all the action going on. And tied in with that is thinking in analogies. Einstein riding in an elevator in space is a famous example. When he was struggling with his theory of relativity, he couldn't resolve issues of gravity when he went from special relativity to general relativity. So he imagined himself in an elevator going down in space. And he said, is my head going to hit the top of the elevator? Or are my feet going to go through the bottom of the elevator? And he finally decided he was going to be riding the elevator like it was in a hotel. That gave him his equivalence principle, which led to his general theory of relativity. Then, and here's a point that I bring up over and over again in the book, is persistence. You know, this is a well-known story, you may have heard it, but Thomas Edison had not found a satisfactory filament composite for his light bulb even after thousands of experiments. He tried tungsten, he tried oxidized iron, he tried I don't know what, many, many, many things. Finally, he remarked something like, different accounts have different wording, but something like, now I know 1,000 things that won't work. For major inventions like the light bulb, there is more persistence than glamour. Oh, it may be true for musicians too. They get all the glamour, but there's hours and hours and hours with our ears. Even many inventions seem to take more time than imagined to get to the demonstration stage. I want to give you guys an example from my invention experience. Need for an electronic instrument for quality control and bulk polymer manufacturing. At the time, I was in the plastics industry. This is for measuring in real-time basis the quality of rail car quantities of polyethylene, nylon, and stuff like that. The instrument should detect, measure, and count microscopic gels. These are little, like pinholes called fish eyes in the industry. And if they were in polyethylene, they'd give you the leaks in milk bottles. So here are the invention techniques I used to develop this instrument. Quest for knowledge, your propensity for noticing things. Always be looking for some unrelated fact, apparently, that may give you that aha moment. What happened was, in order to find a way to see those gels in the polymer, I noticed that dewdrops on a spider web gave an optical effect, a certain glittery effect that I could use in my gel instrument design. I won't go through the optical equations for you, but believe me, it was dramatic. Then, as I said before, project your mind into imagination space. I had to imagine a configuration of mechanical and electronic components never before used like this. I combined very high temperature fiber optics, 2 digital processors, and an early application of artificial intelligence. Then come up with a design that's not kludgy looking, make it practical, useful, even beautiful. So I installed this in the plants at Dow, DuPont, and Exxon that make the plastic raw material, and they how easy it was to use. And again, here comes the old mantra, be persistent, don't give up. For this project, it took several years and long hours each day of lab and pilot plant experimentation. I only had a few employees, and we were working in a dilapidated World War II mill building in northern New Jersey. So imagine my excitement when we received a $78,000 order from Dow Chemical. It was just 2 weeks before the year end, and they said they had to spend the money and get delivery before year end or they'd have to turn the money back. So you know what happened next. We worked right through Christmas building the instrument. And I took that check, had it photocopied, and I've got it embedded in plastic. So for this, my partner, who was a polymer chemist, and I received the Industrial Research IR 100 Award that you referred to. You can find opportunities right in your own backyard. You don't need to make something complicated for a chemical plant. My father actually made more money in an invention he came up with about the same time. About that time, there was a boom in backyard accessories, backyard grills and backyard swimming pools and all that stuff. And he decided to design an effective bird feeder. Now again, he was projecting his mind. What he was doing was, instead of thinking, what would people like in a bird feeder, what would the birds like?
Novel concept.
Exactly. So he would spend hours at a window watching the birds, sitting at the feeder and watching how they got frustrated. And he designed a geometry that the birds liked. Starting in his garage, he built a product line that's now a multi-million-dollar business, and you can find his feeders in bird supply stores everywhere. So in other words, the takeaway on that is take a look around you. There might be an invention sitting right there. See what needs to be developed. Then, as a next step, now this is years earlier than some of you guys remember, the internet was just coming out, and I found a new assistant, a new lab assistant, and that was Google. Google search in all its forms became my lab companion. One of their apps, which is little known but very useful if you're an inventor, is called Advanced Patent Search. And it's very easy to use, very approachable, and it substitutes for waiting for days and weeks for piles of paper patents from your patent attorney so that you can review the prior art. And you can also see by reading other people's patents, you can begin to figure out approaches that might be worthwhile that they may have started on and then given up. Because in their patent write-ups, they often describe their successes and failures. And also you can use Google, of course, to find parts for your invention through a sort of an industrial search. And then it or other search devices can be a very useful way to find people to network with so that you can learn more. including events like CES here. A common mistake that many would-be inventors make is to be too paranoid about people copying their ideas. It's often better, in my opinion, to talk carefully to many people in order to develop an application, marketing, and design package than it is to hijack. Of course, you have to be careful, but people can be very forthcoming with ideas. You say, that's a good idea. Also, just thinking about where we are here, trade shows are probably the most effective way to see what other people in the industry are doing, to test market product ideas in informal conversations, and to find partners. You know, I've walked around the show for a day and a half, and I can say that I could do the better part of inventing several products by just walking around CES, and so can you. Now, in my book, I talk about an amazing recent inventor, Steve Jobs. He had much in common with Samuel Morse, inventor of the telegraph, and a distant relative of mine. There were a number of telegraph concepts around when Morse was developing his version. And if you look at Bell with the phone and all these other iconic inventors, they were never all alone. 6 or 7 others nipping at their heels. In Morse's case, why he got the prize for the telegraph was he found a way to send a message on one wire rather than a bundle of wires to transmit the coding. In engineering terms, he had time division multiplexing rather than frequency division or multi-channel multiplexing. In 2005, Steve Jobs directed over 100 of his best engineers to create what we now know as the iPhone. Like Morse, he was not the first with some version of his product. And like Morse, Jobs could focus on a product vision that combined needs satisfaction, functionality, apparent simplicity, and in addition, design beauty. The resultant product is a combination of invention, engineering, and aesthetic appeal, or in short, a bold act of creativity.
Larry, I don't want to interrupt you. I know we've only got a few minutes left. We definitely want to give the opportunity if anyone has any questions that you can answer. Okay. Right in the front there. He's got a mic for you.
For your new book that you're coming out with next, that you said the new book that you're coming out with next about digital media, can you give us a little bit more insight about that?
Yeah, I've just going to address that subject here.
Okay. Yeah.
You read my mind.
Okay, that's how we like when it happens like that.
Now what we see is probably, in my opinion, the next big thing. Is that what you're looking for? The next big thing. All right. And in my opinion, it's virtual reality on display all around the show. This is a field, in my opinion, fertile for creativity. If I was starting over again, that's where I'd be. Recently, for example, scientists and engineers at MIT have announced promising prototypes of goggle-free virtual reality. So this is where I want to ask the question, where is the next Steve Jobs? Maybe he's right out here somewhere to lead the charge.
Let's hope so.
Just hope so. Now I want to cover one more point in the invention front, and this is collective intelligence. Some people grit their teeth, get group thought to develop complex ideas. At MIT, they have the Center for Collective Intelligence. It's been used to develop climate change models with thousands of scientists feeding internet chat rooms. Another one that I talk about in my book is Boeing and the development of the 787 Dreamliner. In order to accelerate the design of the Dreamliner at lowest cost for what would be the world's most innovative plane, Boeing shifted much of its design to its supplier partners spread around in 24 countries. Boeing could then focus on engineering imaginative concepts like the carbon composites in its airframe and primary structure. Key was all the vendors and Boeing using the same computer-aided design system, CAD. Theirs was manufactured by Dassault. Boeing could then easily and seamlessly integrate all their partners' designs. Now, my book concludes with a call for much stronger education for all ages, because this is where I have often found success and failure patterns. I have encountered many entrepreneurial technicians and engineers who hit a brick wall because they did not know the electronics or chemistry involved in their inventions. It is very difficult to catch up in deep technical areas later in life. The areas of significant technical invention today are usually much more complex than in Thomas Edison's day. So prospects are much dimmer for the essentially self-taught entrepreneurs. We need to get children interested in creative accomplishment at an early age and keep them focused on this all through their lifetime. We will need many graduates excited by the challenge of the unknown. The wonders revealed in their explorations will captivate them. The goal of making unique contributions to solving the world's problems will sustain them. A new sense of mission must be developed.
Yeah, we need 4 stools up there too.
Kind
I'm
of
trying to
like
work.
when Kennedy had the goal to land a man on the moon. We got to get restarted like that. Now, I thought I'd kind of wind up by giving a couple of key points, general frame of mind points for you that my father passed on to me and summed up his experience with these timeless principles. First, make sure you satisfy yourself. Don't let yourself be rushed into doing things that you're not proud of. Second, don't be afraid to fail. Be willing to work by trial and error. That's the only way you learn. And third, reach for excellence always. You know, Leonardo da Vinci never made a bad painting. You can never reach that perfection yourself. But if you try as hard as you can, that's the main thing. That's where happiness lies, and often success as well. In conclusion, I would like to mention my new book, which was just published a couple of days ago, The Digital Rabbit Hole. It sort of starts out with a little analogy from Alice in Wonderland about digital media and their impact on our lives. It ties in with one of the major themes of this show. The digital rabbit hole reveals that we are becoming captive in the digital universe. It proposes solutions to stimulate creativity and to capture our humanity. It will be a great addition to what you've learned at this exciting and important show. Thanks for listening. I'll see you.
Larry, thanks so much for being here and joining us. And for everyone that's been here listening, he'll be signing books over at the Barnes & Noble booth. I'll walk you over there right now. Let's give a round of applause for Larry.